Hey guys, it's Generalkidd here. How is everyone doing today? Happy Wednesday, everybody. So for today's video, we are going to be taking a look at the true form of the Flood Tank. So as a reminder, the Flood Tank is the third transformation of the Flood Pure form. The Pure form is like those Flood crawlers or spiders or whatever you want to, however you want to describe them. But it's a third transformation, and that's these Flood AC right here. Now, a lot of people in the past mistake them for flood hunters, infected hunters, which is not true at all. But I can see why people would think that they were infected hunters at first. But anyways, so Halo 3's been out for a long time, and some of you might have noticed this before, actually, but it happens very rarely. But the Flood Tank actually has another form to it. A very small difference, but it's actually very interesting. And to bring out this form, you need the cowbell skull on, and you need grenades or rockets. Any grenade is, well, frags or plasmas, but we're going to use frags in this case. But to bring out its form, just throw a frag grenade near the Flood Tank and let it explode. And if it explodes enough force and it launches the Flood Tank up a little bit, like causes it to bounce or something, then its form will be revealed. So it's playing slow motion here so you can see it because it happens very briefly. But there it is. Once it gets launched in the air, the Flood Tank, that thing will stick up out of its back. It's really weird, but that's this is what the Flood Tank fully looks like. It's full true form. But that little thing on its back, it's normally hidden, and you normally aren't supposed to see it. But this is how you bring it out. So just to recap, to bring it out, you need the cowbell skull enabled, which on MCC it's always enabled, but on Halo 3 you'd have to find it. On a 360 version, that is. But that's all you need to do to bring it out. It's just throw a grenade or a rocket and then launch it. And if it gets launched in the air enough, then it will show that little thing sticking out. So what's actually going on here? Why is it doing that? And what is that exactly? Well, what's actually going on is, for some reason, when it gets launched in the air, the Flood Tank kind of reverts to a default pose. Which in this case, this is its default pose. This is the full default appearance of the Flood Tank. Now, these things sticking out, that's the ranged form's back that shoots spikes out, which I'll show you in a little bit if you guys don't remember the ranged form. But yeah, that's the default pose of it, which the default pose of that's the Flood Tank's equivalent of a T pose. It doesn't actually have a T pose in the files if you look it up, but this is what it looks like. But I guess you could still say it's technically T-posing, but it's obviously not a T-pose because it's not standing with its arms out, but it is in a default pose. So that's what it looks like, and it's very easy to bring it out using the cowbell skull and simple explosives like a frag or even a rocket launcher. But I would use frags though, because if you use a rocket launcher, there's a chance you might kill it in one hit, and if you kill it when it explodes, then it doesn't go into that default pose. It instead goes into its death pose, so you won't be able to see it at all. But that back thing, that's what this thing is. See where this is the ranged form of the Flood Pure form. That's where the spikes shoot out from the back. But obviously the Flood Tank is not capable of shooting out spikes, so you don't see the spikes, but you still do see that little thing on its back where the spikes would have shot out of from the ranged form. And I guess it's there because it's supposed to be the transform between each different form of the Flood, of the Pure form. So that's why like part of it's still there. But normally you're not supposed to be able to see it. It's supposed to be hidden away, since it's only appears in default pose. At least I presume. There's no other way to bring it out. You can't shoot it off. You can't whack it off or anything. It's completely hidden except when it goes into default pose. And I guess it goes into default pose because for whatever reason, the Flood Tank probably does not have any animation to support it flying in midair. It's not supposed to. In other words, it's not supposed to gain air. But if it does gain air because of the cowbell skull, then it doesn't know how to handle it. It doesn't have an animation or any pose for that. So that's why it automatically defaults to its default pose, which is like a T pose, but in this case it's just the default pose. But yeah, so hopefully you guys found it to be interesting, and if you enjoyed this video, as always, make sure to leave a like. And if there's anything else for me to check out or look into, or any other questions or comments you have, just let me know in the comments, and I'll do my best to look into it sometime. But other than that, make sure to subscribe to my channel if you haven't already, and I will see you guys next time. Bye, guys.